I have the wheel extraction lift positioned on the wheel with the lifts under the sides of the wheel and the pin going directly down on the axle. So now I'm ready to begin turning the pin and getting the opposing forces working to lift the wheel off. And there it comes. Easy as that. Now, what's left on the wheel is okay. That is an insulator. If we can save it, great. If it doesn't save it, that's okay. It also tells you something, that the wheel was not that fixed that well to the insulator. And who knows, that could have caused problems later on, but I'll get the insulator off next. I've pulled the first vulcanized pull-more wheel off of the motor chassis. The reason I think that the insulator was bonding to the axle was rust. You can see a little bit of the discoloration in the insulator. What could have been possible on this train later in its life, particularly if it had been overly lubricated, was that the wheel came off of the insulator so easily. The wheel came off the insulator so easily that I think it could have been possible later in life with enough lubrication that the wheel might have rotated independent of the insulator. And that definitely would not have been good. That insulator was as tough to get off as any I've ever seen. It was definitely strongly bonded. Now next I'm going to put one of the pull-more wheels, the new ones, on there. And the reason I choose to put them on one at a time is that when you press the wheel on, it's a lot easier to have one on the opposite side when you do the pressing, because you need to measure the gauge as you're pushing it on with a dime. Do both the wheels at the same time, and that's a little bit more tricky because there's no guarantee you can get both wheels to go on at the same pace and at the same distance. I have one new grooved pull-more on the train, or on the axle, getting ready to pull this one off and replace it. Then I'll do more of the checking for wobble and things like that, but I think it's going to work just fine. This is, you may have noticed, is the squared flange. I've had a lot of good results with those. They look much different than the tapered or pointed flange. I think it's actually called tapered. Once I get this one off, I'll work more closely with the dime in between the wheels in the vice grip for the gauge setting, and then I'll also double check the wheels for any wobble. I do not lubricate the axle in any way, shape, form, or fashion, or the gear during this or prior to this wheel pressing exercise or event, because I don't want to risk getting any lubricant on the axle between it and the insulator.